It was really good to hear Buster Posey speak honestly and in some cases bluntly about some key topics at a big point of the season.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. My name is Ben Kaspick, and on the show we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday talking about the San Francisco Giants in a way that's data-driven and rational, but also simple, passionate, and accessible to all. I'm a former contributor for the baseball statistics and analysis websites Beyond the Box Score and RotoGraphs. I've been podcasting about the Giants since 2015, hosting this show for over 6 years, and I'm a lifelong Giants fan. Thank you for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, so check us out there if you have not already, and please hit that subscribe button wherever it is that you're following the show to get these episodes, notified on your device Monday through Friday when they come out. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. And coming up on today's show, Giants President of Baseball Operations Buster Posey spoke on some key topics, and he was honest about, all of them, but blunt about some, including the fact that they need more out of the first base position. He also got into the struggles of Willy Adames, the struggles of Patrick Bailey offensively, the closer's role, Jordan Hicks being moved off the starting rotation, and what he's thought of the young pitchers. So a lot to get into here. And the first thing is about the first base position. So Buster Posey spoke on KNBR on Thursday morning, and there was a little write-up by Nick Avila of NBC Sports Bay Area, and the title of that piece is Posey bluntly assesses Giants' lackluster first base production. And so I'm going to get the numbers queued up here in addition to getting you some quotes from Posey about first base and about Lamont Wade Jr. specifically. But just to give you the context, it doesn't take a genius to know that this is what's been going on, but the Giants have gotten negative -0.8 Fangraphs wins above replacement from first base, which is third worst in baseball. There actually have been two worst teams, but those are the Pirates and the Rockies, who have a very, very, very poor combined record, whereas the Giants are 6 games over 500, and Giants first basemen are hitting this season 190 with a 294 on base and a 328 slugging. So this means when they were in the game as first baseman. So that includes few players. Wilmer Flores, who's actually done very well when at first, but that's only been 4 games. Casey Schmidt in 10 games and Lamont Wade Jr. in 39 games, putting up negative 1.1 Fangraphs wins above replacement at first base for Wade. And for Flores, it's +4 in 4 games. Plus +0.4 in 4 games. So anyway, getting to the comments from Buster Posey, courtesy of, again, Nick Avila of NBC Sports Bay Area, and on KNBR. A lot of credit to hand out here. Posey said, quote, "We need to get more production out of that position. There's no question." And he told this to Brian Murphy and Marcus Boucher. I don't know how to pronounce that last name. Lamont, I think, it was nice he got a big hit yesterday in the game, and we're hopeful he can get that going. But at this point, we are going to need some more production, and I think that's the way we're kind of looking at this right now, is some sort of timeshare. So that is a blunt answer, and I appreciate that from a president of baseball operations. I understand. We're learning here about Posey and what he's willing to say to the media, and there's this, I don't want to say perception, but just maybe my perception, I guess, is that he's a former player. He's never going to say anything bad about another player. But I appreciate that. This is the way he says this isn't exactly a big vote of confidence for Lamont Wade Jr. He said, Lamont, I think, it was nice he got a big hit yesterday, and we're hopefully can keep that going or get that going. But at this point, so there's like a but. So even though he did something in a recent game, he's like, but at this point, we're going to need some more production. And so we discussed this week earlier some trade candidates. I targeted Rhys Hoskins of the Brewers and Ryan O'Hearn of the Orioles, who's having a monster season, both pending free agents. The Brewers have, I think, rallied a little bit more into contention, whereas the Orioles are 19-36. And so they're probably looking to sell, and O'Hearn's going to be a big target for potentially a lot of teams. Yeah, Brewers have won 4 straight, so I don't think they're in any hurry to sell. So if you want to make a move now, it would probably be O'Hearn is the guy that I see. But there's also Gerard Encarnacion coming back, and Posey mentioned Gerard Encarnacion when he spoke of that timeshare. He said with Encarnacion coming back, he'll mix in some. Flores might mix in some. Schmidt might mix in some. So that's really kind of a vague answer there. Encarnacion mix in. So you're never going to go out there and be like, we need to make a trade. You're never going to say that to the media, because then it takes away leverage. If you say we have these players we believe in, then you just would never say the opposite of that. So we'll see when Encarnacion comes back. He's only played a couple of rehab games, maybe 3 now, since he had his rehab assignment shut down a little early, or just shut down for a bit with soreness in his hand. But another topic was Bryce Eldridge, who's done very well in Double-A as a 20-year-old, 6'7", 20-year-old in Double-A, who's hitting 281, 346 on base, 509 slugging. It's 46% above the league average there. And on Bryce Eldridge, Giants' top prospect, first-round pick in 2023, 16th overall pick, he said, we're really happy with the way he's progressing. He's hitting in a tough league. Still has a lot of work to do defensively. So again, blunt, a lot of work to do defensively. He's making strides, he's putting in the work, and that's all you can ask for. And so that was the scouting report that I read on Eldridge, was that his defense needed a lot of work. And here Buster Posey is saying his defense needs a lot of work. And so they're not going to rush him. And that's why I was talking about rental first base trade targets, guys who are free agents at the end of the year. So it doesn't block a guy like Eldridge long term, but could bridge the gap to Eldridge down the road, like for next year, potentially. And maybe Eldridge could debut late this year and just transition, So anyway, the one, I guess, 2 things you could do here are just, it was interesting to see Casey Schmidt get a start against a right-handed pitcher at first base. We'll see today. Maybe I can get a lineup at the time of this recording. I haven't seen one yet. Actually, Twitter was like broken as I was trying to check today. But the Giants are in Miami. They're facing a right-handed pitcher, and it looks like we do have a lineup. And once again, Casey Schmidt at first base. So that is significant. They are moving Wade out of the lineup against right-handed pitchers in their last 2 games against right-handed pitchers. So I was just thinking that they should do that like right before they did that, because if you just look at Casey Schmidt's numbers, you see expected results that are really good. And it looks to me like a guy who just needs to be in the lineup. And also he's done very well defensively at first, as you might expect, a guy who can possibly play like Gold Glove caliber third base over at first right now. So that was Posey's assessment. And then the lineup decision that Schmidt is in there 2 days in a row speaks volumes. It's kind of like a waste of Schmidt's defensive value to have him at first, but it's also just interesting and noteworthy that Schmidt is getting looks here against right-handed pitchers and presumably against lefties as well. So they're going to see what Schmidt can do, and I think that that's the right move at this point given the tremendous struggles of Lamont Wade. So we will get into more of Buster Posey's comments, including what he thinks about Willy Adames and why he's stressing patience with Adames. We'll get into it in just a minute, and before we do, today's episode of Locked On Giants is brought to you in part by Trade Coffee. Let's be real. Coffee isn't just a drink. It's a ritual, a lifeline, the thing that gets you from half asleep to fully functioning. And if it's that essential, why settle for anything less than amazing? That's where Trade Coffee comes in. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the United States, delivering fresh, incredible coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. Whether you're a cold brew fan or a pour over purist, they've got a roast you'll love. I took Trade's quiz. It only took a minute, and the first bag they sent me was so spot on that I've continued to order it. It's called Flores Belas, and it's right here. I wish you could smell it through the microphone. Here, can you smell it? Probably not, but it's absolutely incredibly delicious, and I would never go back. And to me, coffee is that thing that is so essential, and it's such an important part of my day. So check it out for yourself. Right now, Trade is exclusively offering our customers 50% off your 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. That's drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb for 50% off your 1-month trial. All right, here we go. We are going to get into more of Buster Posey's comments. Thanks again for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. Every dayers on Monday, we're going to be breaking down this 3-game series in Miami. It's Kyle Harrison on the mound for the Giants tonight. I have discussed how significant each of his 2 starts are. We'll see if Justin Verlander is really ready to come back after that, but I don't know. I mean, Buster Posey's going to comment on Kyle Harrison and Hayden Birdsong later, so we'll see what he has to say. But this is a significant one, playing a team that you should beat, and it's just a significant series, and we'll break it down for you on Monday. So getting to the next point that Buster Posey discussed, this is also courtesy of NBC Sports Bay Area. Buster Posey talked about Willy Adames. And Adames, again, I don't really need to tell you this, but it's been a struggle in the first third of his first year in San Francisco. He has hit just .208 with a .288 on base and .333 slugging. Those are just not good numbers no matter how you slice it. It's about 23% below average offense. And he has at times struggled defensively as well, and at times has struggled on the bases and made some boneheaded type of outs on the bases at times. So all in all, it's just 0.1 Fangraphs wins above replacement, not what you want in a third of a season from a guy you're paying an average of $26 million a year over the next 7 years. So look, will he be better than that for the next third of the season? I would certainly expect so and hope so. But what does Buster Posey have to say? 2 words: be patient. That's his quote. So I don't know if the question was, what do you say to fans about Willy Adames? I don't think Buster would just tell people to be patient like that. But that's what he said. And he said it's, quote, "It's not uncommon." Again, this is on Murph and Marcus on KNBR. He said, quote, "It's not uncommon when superstar players sign a big deal and struggle out of the gate. I've gone through it as a player. When you struggle, it's rough." I mean, I didn't. I don't know what he's talking about. I didn't. I didn't. You don't sleep well. It's on your mind all the time. So it's true. And that's why, for all we could go into here about Adames, it's never personal. And we have to understand the game of baseball is just so incredibly difficult, and nobody's trying harder than these guys. It's their livelihood. They do not want to get paid a bunch of money and then not perform. And a guy like Adames cares so much. There are certainly players who don't care much. And you look at a guy, I mean, not to call him out, but he really has made himself a target by some of the stuff he's said. But like Anthony Rendon of the Angels has basically just implied that he doesn't really even care about baseball and that it's just a job, and he wishes the season was shorter, and all this while making huge money and is just constantly injured. And so that's not Willy Adames. Adames is out there doing everything he can to prepare and also to support his teammates. That's probably the thing that stands out the most about Adames so far, is just how much he supports his teammates. And so Posey remarked on that and said, quote, "For this guy to show up and be the same each and every day is pretty remarkable. He's truly a leader, and I've got belief that offensively he's going to find his groove here. He's always been a bit of a streaky hitter, so hoping that hot stretch is right around the corner." And I have pointed this out, like, he is a streaky hitter. If you look at you can look at graphs of his performance over time, and there are peaks and valleys. Like, some players, they're more stable, but Adames has, like, he had a major valley around early July last year. Like, he basically really struggled from late June up until mid-July. I don't know. That's not that long of a time, but he was really bad, like worse than he's been at any point this year over a 15-game stretch. His most recent 15 games at that point, as of July 7th, was worse than anything he's done this year. And yet he ended up total on the season being about 20% above average offensively. And so, we've seen it from Brandon Belt. We've seen it from Mike Yastrzemski. You see it to an extent with every player. Like Brandon Belt, let's just say as an example, would go through long stretches of being ice cold. And he would, like, that's the thing, is the Giants haven't had Adames through one of his hot streaks. Whereas if you watch the Giants day in and day out, and you watch Brandon Belt on a hot streak and how he would just carry a team for 2 months, then we know when he's going through the cold streak, we're just waiting on the hot streak, and it's in there. But we haven't seen that from Adames, and so that's the thing. We've only seen him struggle for the most part. He had a little period of time where he was doing well, but it wasn't long enough, and then he went right back into struggling. And so it's funny. There's a poll up on MLB Trade Rumors, which is like the first thing I see when I open up their website, and it's poll: can Willy Adames turn things around? And so, it's the struggles have been significant enough, and the contract was big enough that it has become nationally recognized that he's really struggling and he's on this big contract, and can he turn it around? So it's not total small sample land anymore. However, it's also a poll question, and if you look at the results, I'll actually just give you the results for fun. I voted yes, he'll finish the year as an average or better hitter. So I guess that might be a struggle, but I would, with 2/3 of a season left, average or better doesn't feel like that big of a stretch. And the second option is no, he'll continue to struggle and post a below average season. Okay, average season or average hitter, those are kind of different questions. But anyway, the results are almost 50-50, but 53% of voters, and there's only 439 voters at this point, 53% said actually that he'll continue to struggle and post a below average season, and 47% essentially said he'll finish the year as an average or better hitter. So people are split. The people are split. And again, this is not necessarily a unbiased poll. You don't know who's voting, but regardless, no clear consensus there on Willy Adames, and that's kind of how I feel. But Posey, of course, he's going to support his guy, but he is streaky, and so people have been patient, and I think at this point the patience is running out. Not that you're going to give up on him completely, but it's like it's just at the point where it's not just like, oh, it's been 2 weeks. It's been a couple of months. And so at this point, it's time for him to get it going. Otherwise, people are going to start to worry and be frustrated. And I think that's understandable, but no one's going to be more frustrated than the player himself. So we're not going to beat him up more than he already is beating up himself. We'll just simply point out that it's been a struggle. And this game is extremely, extremely hard. And when you're struggling, it consumes you, like Posey said. And he knows that because he was a player. He didn't struggle all that much in his career, but he did sometimes. He had a couple below average seasons, so he knows what it's like. And hopefully Adames can turn it around. So more topics for Posey to get into, including Patrick Bailey's offensive struggles and why the defense is such a huge part of Bailey's game. What does Posey have to say about the contrast between the struggles offensively and the excellence defensively, and also the closer's role and the young starting pitchers? All of that coming up in just a minute and before we get into it. Today's episode of Locked On Giants is brought to you in part by SupplyHouse. Get the supplies you need from the site that's made for the skilled trades. SupplyHouse. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, SupplyHouse is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you will find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? SupplyHouse offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free TradeMaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the TradeMaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. All right, as promised, we're going to continue going through Buster Posey's comments. Thanks again for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. Everydayers coming up on Monday, breaking down this big road series in Miami. It's big mostly because the Giants should be able to win the series. And if they could win the series, then it would end up being a 4-5 road trip if they could just take 2 out of 3. And if you can sweep, you can make it a 5-4 road trip. But anything worse than that, if you lose this series 2 out of 3 or get swept, then people are going to start panicking and feeling like it was a disastrous road trip. So a lot of possible outcomes on Monday. Anyway, Buster Posey spoke also about Patrick Bailey on Murph and Marcus on KNBR. He said about Bailey, well, Patty's an instrumental part of our success. As far as pitching and defense goes, it's well documented about his hitting struggles, and it's not an easy place to be when you're having to run out there and be a leader on one side of the ball and then to struggle as much as he has with the bat. It's not an easy thing. You've got to give him a lot of credit for keeping a positive outlook, because for anybody, you want to come through with the bat. For him to go out and not lose focus defensively, it's been really impressive, or has been really impressive. And I completely agree. I've thought about this a lot. Like, Bailey will come up in a big spot offensively and struggle, or just come up pretty much every time and struggle, but then he goes out there and he's just as good as ever defensively. And so it takes a lot of focus and a lot of not dwelling on your defensive or offensive struggles, I should say, to be able to do that. And so credit to Patrick Bailey, and also, I appreciate Posey pointing that out, and I'm sure Bailey does too. And that's essentially all he had to say about it. But yeah, I mean, we have pointed this out. Patrick Bailey, if you look at, I mean, first of all, he's been great defensively and put up 0.7 Fangraphs wins above replacement in a third of a season, despite being so bad offensively. A 38 weighted runs created plus, 62% below average. He has 154 plate appearances. If we look at players with at least 150 plate appearances, I'm going to assume that he is the worst in that category, weighted runs created plus. No, he's second worst. Michael Massey of the Kansas City Royals has been worse. Somebody down there, by the way, like Marcus Semien is close to Patrick Bailey, which just goes to show you, like, Semien is on a $175 million contract. LaMonte Wade Jr. is ninth worst. And this is among 203 players with 150 plate appearances. The Giants have 2 of the 9. Well, I guess Wade's not in the lineup anymore. He's kind of played his way out of it. 2 of the 9 worst hitters so far this year have been in the lineup consistently. And what was annoying is that I looked at this today and at the best hitters, and you look at the Dodgers, and they've got 3 of the top 6. 3 of the top 6. Freddie Freeman is second, Shohei Ohtani is fourth, and Will Smith is sixth, excuse me. So contrast that to the Giants. 2 of the bottom 9, with the Dodgers having 3 of the top 6. 3 of the top 6 offensive players is just very annoying. But going back to 2024, if we look at just the whole season and set the minimum, I don't know, I went back to August last time and I think set the minimum to 250 plate appearances. Bailey was just by far the worst hitter in baseball. But it looks like there are some guys who might be worse than him. That's for all of the season. Anyway, never mind. Regardless, it's been a major struggle because Bailey was good to start last year, and then he went into a huge slump, and it's just continued. So he's been in a huge slump for the latter half of last season plus the beginning third of this season. But his defense does more than make up for it, at least like in my viewpoint, like just intuition, and also by a metric like like wins above replacement. Like that's what it's attempting to do, is combine the different things a player does: offense, defense, base running. And Bailey above replacement level, despite being second worst offensively in the game, is pretty remarkable. That's how valuable his framing, his quickness with his throws, and also the, just throwing out base runners, he shuts it down. So anyway, I agree with Posey. And then I would expect better things from Bailey because he has a big sample of being below average, but not this below average. So I would expect him to get back to his career norms at least. So regarding the closer position, Posey said, I read something yesterday where Bob said the closer spot was a fluid situation, and it kind of took the words out of my mouth. It's nice. The nice thing about having Doval and Walker is you feel like you could insert either one of them in the ninth, and they're going to do a nice job for you. The amount of close games that we play right now, the save situations can be Doval, but there's a real chance that we're sitting here on Sunday saying Doval has closed out the last 2 games. We need Walker to close out the ninth. Yeah, let's hope so, if we're talking about going for a sweep. And then Posey said, so those guys have shown a real willingness to pitch in whatever role Bob Melvin decides. And that was the last of it. And then I've said on my own that I think Randy Rodriguez is getting overlooked here as someone who could do it too. It's just he doesn't have experience, so that's why they're not. But the numbers for Rodriguez are just mind-boggling. And then Tyler Rogers could do it as well, but wouldn't be my first choice. I like kind of dominance and strikeouts in that closer role and not contact where things can get wonky. So anyway, lastly, Posey discussed the young pitching and Jordan Hicks moving to the bullpen, Hayden, Birdsong, Kyle Harrison, that whole situation. And he said, quote, "I don't think that it's anything earth-shattering, but I do think the health of an organization is largely dependent on your young pitching. And to have those guys, Birdsong and Harrison, 23 years old, pitching with the confidence and stuff that they have is exciting." And then he said of Harrison, "He looks like a different guy to me than we saw in spring." And of Hicks, Posey said he was disappointed. He's been very clear that he wants to be a starter. But again, I think between myself, Zach Manassian, who's the general manager, Bob Melvin, felt like we were putting the team in the best position to have him pitch out of the pen right now. And so that's kind of news in a way, that Posey's saying that he was disappointed, like point blank. So again, I appreciate the honesty there, because the quotes from Hicks, I don't remember exactly who we read quotes from. It was probably Hicks and Bob Melvin, were basically like, he took it well, he took it great. Like, he just wants to do what's going to help the team. But, it's nice if he was disappointed, that's okay. And for Posey to say it, I'm sure Hicks actually appreciates. Probably, I don't know, maybe he doesn't want people to know, but I don't know. I think honesty is just a good thing, and it's good to have that from your president of baseball operations. So I appreciate that he was honest in his assessment of Lamont Wade Jr.'s play. He's like, yeah, he had a good game today, but like, we're not looking like it's just been too bad that we need to move on to someone else. And they're doing it with Casey Schmidt right now. And then for Hicks to say he was disappointed. Like, he didn't want this to happen, but we did it anyway. So it's good insight. And then, yeah, it's just, it was time for Posey to kind of speak out, given that it's, we passed Memorial Day. It's a big milestone in the season. A third of the season has passed, and they've been going through a big struggle. So it was perfect timing, and we got a lot of insights here on the key topics. So thank you to KNBR for doing the interview, for Posey for doing the interview, to Posey for doing the interview, and for to NBC Sports Bay Area for writing about it all. So anyway, that is all the time we have for today. Thanks again for making Locked On Giants your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB, on YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Once again, my name's Ben Kaspick. Check me out on Twitter, at Ben Kaspick, Kaspick. If you like this show, please consider rating it or leaving a review. It helps me out so much. So thank you in advance, and thank you to everyone who's done so already. I can't wait to be with you again on Monday. Thanks again for listening. Have a great weekend. You are now Locked On Giants.